What kind of empire can disappear, return, collapse again, and still leave its shadow over the map for more than 2,000 years? That is the strange story of Persia. It was not one single empire that rose once and fell once. It was a chain of dynasties, wars, defeats, recoveries, foreign invasions, religious change, and political rebirths. At different moments, Persia stood against Babylon, Egypt, Greece, Rome, Byzantium, the Arabs, the Ottomans, the Russians, and the Mongols. Sometimes it ruled like a giant. Sometimes it was broken into pieces. But again and again, power returned to the Iranian plateau. To understand that long story, we have to begin far before the famous kings, before the palaces, before the wars with Greece, before Rome even became an empire. Around 1000 BCE, groups of nomadic people began gathering into tribes and settling across the Iranian plateau. Over time, these communities became part of the political world of the Near East. For many centuries, they lived under the shadow of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, which ruled from northern Mesopotamia between 911 and 609 BCE. But Assyrian power did not last forever. The Medes rose up, threw off Assyrian domination, and built an empire of their own. For a time, it looked as if the Medes would become the great Iranian power. But history took a sharp turn in the 6th century BCE. In 553 BCE, Cyrus, the leader of a powerful tribe, rebelled against the Median Empire. 3 years later, in 550 BCE, he captured the Median capital of Ecbatana and took King Astyages alive. After seizing the throne, Cyrus declared himself ruler, united the tribes, and took control of the entire empire. That moment marked the official birth of the First Persian Empire, known as the Achaemenid Empire. And Cyrus did not stop there. In 546 BCE, he personally led a campaign against King Croesus of Lydia. The Lydian army was defeated, and Cyrus captured the capital city of Sardis. At the same time, former vassals of the old Median Empire continued to rebel, forcing Cyrus to campaign in Bactria and against the nomadic Saka in Central Asia. During these campaigns, he founded cities, built garrisons, and strengthened Persian control over the frontier. One of the cities associated with this period was Hierapolis. Then came Babylon. Hostility between the Persians and the Babylonians had lasted for a long time, stretching from the Median period into the early Achaemenid age. This tension finally led to war between 540 and 539 BCE. In October 539 BC, Cyrus defeated the Babylonians at Opis. Soon after, he took the city of Sippar without losing a single soldier. On October 12th of that same year, Persian forces entered Babylon and captured King Nabonidus. With Babylon in Persian hands, Cyrus had created one of the largest and most powerful empires of the ancient world. But even great conquerors do not live forever. In 530 BCE, Cyrus died during a campaign against the Massagetae in Central Asia. After his death, Cambyses II came to the throne. He quickly turned his attention toward Egypt. In 525 BCE, he defeated the Egyptians at the Battle of Pelusium and brought Egypt under Persian rule. After Egypt fell, Libya and the Greek cities of Cyrene and Barca in Libya chose submission over resistance. They paid tribute to the Persian Empire. Cambyses then planned further campaigns against Carthage, the Oasis of Siwa, and Ethiopia. But these expeditions did not bring the success he wanted. The campaigns towards the Oasis of Ammon and Ethiopia both failed. Then in 522 BCE, Darius the Great came to power after overthrowing the pretender Gamata. Once he secured the throne, Darius began preparing for a massive campaign. In 513 BCE, he launched an expedition into the Balkans, aiming to strike at the Scythians north of the Danube and to bring Macedonia into the Persian sphere. His army conquered many Thracian tribes and much of the land around the Black Sea before withdrawing to Asia Minor. Persian power expanded into gold-rich Thrace, the Greek coastal cities, and the lands of the Paeonians. But ruling such a wide empire came with a price. Between 499 and 493 BCE, revolts against Persian rule broke out. The most important was the Ionian Revolt in 499 BCE. This revolt became the first major conflict between the Greeks and the First Persian Empire. It was also the opening stage of the Greco-Persian Wars. After crushing the revolt in Asia Minor, Darius decided to move against Greece itself. In 492 BCE, the Persian general Mardonius reconquered Thrace and fully incorporated Macedonia into the empire. Macedonia became a Persian vassal around the end of the 6th century BCE, though it still kept considerable autonomy. But Persia's push into Greece did not go unanswered. In 490 BCE, the Athenians defeated the Persians at Marathon. It was a major shock. The Persian Empire was enormous, but a Greek city had shown that it could be resisted. Darius did not live to finish the Greek campaign. Xerxes I came to the throne in 485 BCE and continued his father's dream of conquering Greece. He built a huge Persian army and marched from the north. His forces passed through Macedonia and Thessaly with little resistance, until a small Greek force held them for 3 days at Thermopylae. By the 480s, BCE Persia had become a gigantic empire. Its population was said to be around 49.4 million people, about 44% of the world's population at the time. This was not a small kingdom fighting for survival. This was one of the greatest imperial machines the world had ever seen. Yet even the greatest empires faced strain. Later, Artaxerxes III tried to strengthen the Persian Empire and concentrate more power in the hands of the king. Between 343 and 341 BC, he reconquered Egypt and drove out Pharaoh Nectanebo II of the 30th dynasty. The Persians established the 31st dynasty in Egypt, but their strict rule stirred anger among the Egyptian people, who rose in revolt under Pharaoh Qababash. While Persia was being weakened by political complexity and internal pressure, a new enemy appeared from the west. Alexander the Great, a brilliant military leader, brought together the forces of Macedonia and the Greek city-states, crossed the Hellespont, and attacked Persia. In 333 BCE, Alexander shattered the Persian army, led by Emperor Darius III at the Battle of Issus. He then took the city of Tyre. Artaxerxes V rose and resisted until 328 BCE, but by then, the entire Persian Empire had fallen into the hands of Alexander. The First Persian Empire, which had begun with Cyrus, ended under the pressure of Macedonian conquest. But the story of Persia did not end there. After Alexander died, his empire split into several smaller empires. One of the most important was the Seleucid Empire. For a time, the Seleucids controlled Iran. But in 250 BCE, the House of Arsaces from the Parni people stepped onto the political stage. Their rise weakened Seleucid power and slowly pushed it out of Iran. After driving the Seleucids completely from Iranian territory, the Parni founded the Parthian Empire, often seen as the Second Persian Empire, on the land of modern Iran. At first, Parthia faced enemies on both sides, the Seleucids in the west and the Scythians in the east. But as Parthia expanded westward, it came into conflict with Armenia and then with the Roman Republic. Rome and Parthia competed to turn the kings of Armenia into their own vassals. Armenia became a crucial buffer, caught between two powerful worlds. In 53 BCE, the Parthians defeated Marcus Licinius Crassus at the Battle of Carrhae. It was one of Rome's great disasters. Then in 40 and 39 BCE, Parthian forces captured almost the entire Near East from the Romans with the exception of Tyre. Rome struck back later. Marcus Aurelius launched a counterattack against Parthia, and several Roman emperors invaded Mesopotamia during the Roman-Parthian Wars. The Romans captured Seleucia and Ctesiphon many times during these conflicts. But in the end, Parthia's most dangerous enemy was often not Rome, it was itself. Civil wars between rival claimants to the throne weakened the empire more deeply than many foreign invasions. While Rome could attack from the outside, internal division damaged Parthia from within. At the same time, another dynasty was rising in southern Iran. The Bazrangids, descendants of the Achaemenid line, had established a new dynasty based at Istakhr. Around 30 BCE to 20 CE, they were absorbed into the Persian world, but later regained their territory as vassals. As the struggle for power inside Parthia became more intense, Ardashir, the first of the Sassanid house, began strengthening his position in the south. In 224 CE, Ardashir I killed the last Parthian king, took the imperial title, and opened the age of the Neo-Persian Empire, or Sassanid Empire. After 476 years, the Parthian Empire ended its historical role. Yet the Arsacid line did not vanish completely. It survived through the Arsacid dynasties of Armenia, Iberia, and Caucasian Albania, all branches connected to the Parthian Arsacids. Ardashir did not build his new empire quietly. Rebellions broke out across the realm, but he kept expanding eastward and northwestward. He conquered Sistan-Gorgan, Khorasan Margiana in modern Turkmenistan Balkh, and Chorasmia. In 230 CE, he raided deep into Roman territory. His son Shapur I continued the expansion. He conquered Bactria and the western part of the Kushan Empire, and he led several campaigns against Rome. Shapur captured Carrhae and Nisibis, but in 243 CE, Rome defeated the Persians at Rassena and recovered lost territory. Persia's war with Rome became a long and punishing struggle. After defeats from Roman attacks between 296 and 298, the Sassanid Empire had to accept an unfavorable peace treaty. Under its terms, the Sassanids gave up 5 provinces east of the Tigris and agreed not to interfere in the affairs of Armenia and Georgia. But Persian power recovered again. In 359, Shapur II began another campaign against the Romans and soon succeeded in taking Singara and Amida again. By the time Shapur II died, the Persian Empire was stronger than ever. Its eastern enemies had been pacified, and it controlled Armenia. Under Bahram V, in 427, Persia crushed an eastern invasion by the nomadic Hephthalites and expanded its influence into Central Asia. Bahram also deposed the Persian vassal king in Armenia and turned Armenia into a province. When Yazdegerd II came to the throne in 438, he gathered a mixed army and attacked the Eastern Roman Empire in 441. After several battles, he crushed the Kittites and drove them beyond the Oxus River in 450. To re-establish Zoroastrianism in Armenia, he crushed a Christian Armenian uprising at the Battle of Vartanants in 451. But the eastern frontier did not stay quiet. At the end of the 5th century, the Huns returned. They defeated Perose I in 483 and spent 2 years invading and plundering eastern Persia. The empire was thrown into disorder. With the support of the White Huns, Kavad I launched a campaign against Rome. In 502, he took Theodosiopolis in Armenia, though he soon lost it. In 503, he captured Amida on the Tigris. In 521 and 522, he lost control of Lazica. Then, in 530, he sent an army under Firuz of the Mihran family to attack the important Roman frontier city of Dara. After years of difficult, intense warfare, a so-called eternal peace was signed in 532. The next major figure was Khosrau I, who came to the throne in 531. He carried out reforms in taxation land and welfare to restore the Persian Empire. But peace did not last. In 540, Khosrau broke the eternal peace and invaded Syria. In 598, another Persian expedition succeeded in annexing southern Arabia as a province of the Sassanid Empire. This situation continued until the later chaos under Khosrau II. Then Persia reached one of its last great peaks. Taking advantage of civil war inside the Byzantine Empire, Persian forces systematically conquered heavily defended Byzantine frontier cities in Mesopotamia and Armenia. This opened the way for unprecedented expansion. The Persians occupied Syria and captured Antioch in 611. Jerusalem fell in 614. Alexandria fell in 619. By 621, the rest of Egypt had been added to Persian territory. For a moment, Sassanid Persia seemed to have restored a territorial scale close to the First Persian Empire. But that victory came at a terrible cost. The long campaigns drained the Persian treasury. Between 622 and 627, Persian forces in Asia Minor and the Caucasus had to face Roman counterattacks and suffered disastrous defeats. The Neo-Persian Empire was heavily weakened. Central power slipped into the hands of generals. Religious unrest increased inside society. Then came the Islamic conquest of Persia. Between 633 and 656, Muslim Arab armies ended the Sassanid dynasty. From the 8th to the 10th centuries, the Persian population gradually converted to Islam, leading to the decline of Zoroastrianism. The ancient religious and political order of Persia had been broken. For many centuries after that, Persia endured domination and occupation by foreign powers, including Arabs, Turks, and Mongols, along with several short-lived Persian dynasties. But again, Persia did not disappear. In 1501, the country was unified under the Safavid dynasty. The Safavids gave Persia a new imperial form. In 1508, Shah Ismail I captured Baghdad from the Achaemenid, defeated King Murad of the Achaemenid, and ended that dynasty. But the new Persian power quickly faced a dangerous rival, the Ottoman Empire. In 1514, the powerful Persian army led by Shah Ismail I was defeated by the Ottomans at the decisive Battle of Chaldiran. It was a major blow. The western frontier became a constant source of pressure. In 1528, Shah Tahmasp I defeated the Uzbeks. Between 1547 and 1555, he also helped the exiled Emperor Humayun recover the entire Mughal Empire. But while Persia was active in the east, the western border remained under Ottoman attack. Mesopotamia was lost. In the 1580s, the Ottomans attacked again and forced Shah Abbas I to make peace, costing Persia large territories. But under Shah Abbas I, the Safavid Empire reached its height. He took Azerbaijan and recovered all the territories the Ottomans had seized. In 1623, he recaptured Baghdad. Under Abbas, the Safavid Empire became a brilliant heir to the older Persian empires. But after his death in 1629, the empire began to weaken. In 1722, the Safavid state finally submitted to the Afghans. Between 1722 and 1725, Persia was also invaded by Russia while the Ottomans moved into the western and northern provinces. The country was once again in crisis. Then, in 1736, a military commander named Nader Shah overthrew the last Safavid king, Abbas III, and founded the Afsharid dynasty. Nader Shah quickly built a vast Persian empire, but his rule was harsh and violent, and Iran was thrown into repeated wars. After Nader Shah was assassinated in 1747, Iran fell back into years of conflict, and Afsharid territory shrank. One of Nader Shah's generals, Karim Khan, a lure from an Iranian people, founded the Zand dynasty in central and southern Iran in 1750. Under him, security and prosperity were restored across his territory. But that stability did not last after his death. In 1779, after Karim Khan died, the Zand dynasty fell to Aga Muhammad Khan. Seeing that the Zands were declining, Aga Muhammad marched against their capital Shiraz. He entered the city, declared the foundation of the Qajar dynasty, held his coronation, and proclaimed himself Shahanshah, King of Kings. Shiraz became his temporary capital. After taking power, he continued his campaigns and forced other tribes to submit. In 1786, the Qajar dynasty moved its capital to Tehran. In 1794, he destroyed the last Zand stronghold and treated Lutf Ali Khan with extreme cruelty. He also executed the family of Adel Shah, the man who had castrated him years earlier. But Afsharid forces still remained so. The fighting continued. In 1796, Aga Muhammad easily captured Mashhad, and the Afsharid dynasty collapsed. Persia was unified after nearly half a century of division. Then came a new kind of pressure, the age of Russian expansion. After the Russo-Persian War of 1804 to 1813, Persia signed the Treaty of Gulistan and had to give the Russian Empire territories, including Azerbaijan, Dagestan, and eastern Georgia. After the Second Russo-Persian War from 1826 to 1828, Iran lost even more Yerevan Nakhichevan, naval rights on the Caspian Sea, and permission for Russians to trade freely inside the country. In the 19th century, Nasser al-Din Shah Qajar ruled for nearly half a century, from 1848 to 1896. He tried to modernize the country and use the rivalry between Britain and Russia to preserve Persian independence. Many attempts at modernization faced resistance from religious leaders and conservative forces. But reform was difficult. These tensions eventually helped lead to the Iranian constitutional revolution between 1905 and 1911. By the early 20th century, the Qajar state was weak. In February 1921, Reza Khan, commander of the Persian Cossack Brigade, carried out a coup and took real power over the country. By October 1925, the Qajar dynasty was completely removed from power. That moment marked the end of the great Persian imperial line in history. From the tribes of the Iranian plateau, to Cyrus and the Achaemenids, to the Parthians, the Sassanids, the Safavids, the Afsharids, the Zans, and the Qajars, Persia passed through rise, collapse, conquest, and revival again and again. It fought Babylon, Egypt, Greece, Rome, Byzantium, the Arabs, the Ottomans, the Afghans, and Russia. It lost territory, recovered territory, changed religion, changed dynasties, and changed capitals. But across all those centuries, it left a deep mark on the history of empires, on the culture of Iran, and on the wider development of human civilization. That is why the story of Persia is not just the story of one empire. It is the story of an imperial tradition that kept returning even after the world around it had changed.